Good morning and welcome, and happy Father's Day. So glad to see everybody here today. It's an exciting day. We're going to have a lot of fun throughout the day. But we're going to open with a song from Dalton. He's not here today, but it's a recording, so just enjoy it, and then we'll get back into the service.
Holy Spirit, come unto me. Bring your love to all that I see. Shower me with love and blessings from above. May I see your radiant face in everyone and every place. Loving presence, voice from within. Show to me the place to begin. In my darkest hour, may I recognize your power and feel your grace as I begin again. God, work through me. God, renew me. Be my strength when I forget just who I am. And Father, fill my every moment with you. Bring your love to all that I do. May I always hear the voice that keeps you near. And may your precious love be ever new. May I always hear the voice that keeps you near. And may your precious love be ever new. Amen.
Well, thank you, Dalton, if you're listening and watching. That was absolutely beautiful. So it's nice to have everybody come in, and as we loosen up the guidelines, we will certainly follow whatever precautions we need to do, but if you're vaccinated, you don't need to wear a mask. And we're going to have a revised sitting set up next Sunday, and you'll see that, so we can have a few more people in the sanctuary. But we're going to continue to have the doors open for good airflow, and then options to wear a mask if you're not vaccinated. So I'd like to thank everybody in service. We have our ushers and greeters, and we have our sound person, Lindy, today. And we have Judy on the piano and Dalton from the Ethernet. But anyway, and we have Shirley today as assisting with practitioner duties. So we're both available for prayer support after service. So if there's anyone new today, we'd like to give you a welcome packet. We have information, and I think we have someone up here new. Conrad, if you would like a packet, we'll bring you one, and also take you a tour on the grounds, if you would like that. And I think you can just pick up the packet after on the way out. So anyway, moving right along. So we have a few invitations today, a few announcements, and then we're going to have Craig Boyer do our reading, and then we'll invite the bell, and then Shirley will do the prayer, and then we'll have a wonderful talk today by Reverend Sue. So I would like to just mention that today we're having our summer solstice barbecue and drum jam. It was going to be outdoors, but we moved it indoors. And so the social hall's being set up, to eat indoors if you choose. And then the drumming will be inside as well. And if you haven't bought a ticket yet, you can still buy one today. You can just see Linda at the board desk or the ushers and greeters, and you can get a ticket. But it should be a lot of fun. I think we have around 50 people signed up, to come, and it'll just be a lot of fun. So it's kind of the beginning of trying to build community again and get back together and see each other and have some fun. We have several classes from Sherry Young Wyndham, the Tao of watercolor painting simple landscapes and water scenes. That's going to be June 21st to July 26th, 9:30 to noon in the social hall. And then she also has the Tao of watercolor painting water and weather in watercolor, June 23rd to July 28th, 1 to 3:30. And then Reverend Sue and I are putting on a chakra in your personality workshop this coming Saturday, June 26th, 9 a.m. to noon. So you'll get an idea of which chakra type influences your personality. This helps us each to be better prepared to engage in life and relationships. So it'll be a lot of fun. I know Sue's been working on it, so I'm going to find out soon what my part is. I'll probably have to be an example of each chakra. I don't know. I'll do a Saturday Night Live skit anyway. So I hope you can join us. It'll be air-conditioned in the social hall, and it should be a lot of fun. So with that, I'd like to invite Craig up to do the reading. I think it'll be a fun reading. You know what we didn't do? We didn't turn and face the camera to see everybody online. We're online, YouTube and Facebook Live at this moment. So wave, everybody. So now you can all be Googled and people will find you. So anyway, here's Craig.
Good morning. This morning, I get to be me, I get to be all of you, and I get to be God. Hello, God. Hello. I'm falling apart. Can you put me back together? I'd rather not. Why? Because you're not a puzzle. What about me and the pieces that are falling to the ground? Leave them. They fell there for a reason. Leave them there for a while, and then decide if you need to take any of those pieces back again. But you don't understand. I'm breaking apart. No, you don't understand. You are transcending. You are evolving, and what you are feeling are growing pains. You're getting rid of the things and people in your life that are holding you back. The pieces are not falling down. The pieces are being put back. Relax. Take a deep breath. Let those things you no longer need fall away. Let them go. Once I start that, what will I have left? Only the best pieces of you. I'm afraid to change. I keep telling you, you are not changing. You are becoming. Becoming what? Becoming who? You are becoming what I created you to be. A person of light, a person of love, a person of charity, a person of hope, joy, of mercy, grace, and compassion. I made you for so much more than those shallow pieces you've decided to adorn yourself with, and that you cling to with so much fear and greed. Let those things fall off of you. I love you. I love you so. Don't change. Become. Don't change. Become. Become what I created you to be. I'm going to keep telling you this until you remember. I'm not broken. No, but you are breaking through the darkness and into the dawn. It's a new day. So become, become who you, all of you, really are.
Please join with me in knowing that there is only one power, one life, one loving presence, and we know it as Spirit, the Divine Father, or God. We recognize this presence within our own soul. And on this Father's Day, we bring our awareness to the Father within, acknowledging his gifts of inner strength, wisdom, and love. We acknowledge those fathers living in our midst and living in our hearts. We have been strengthened and supported by an abundance of calm, masculine energy during these difficult times. We're grateful that some restrictions are being safely lifted, and we have continued to learn and to grow through this experience. We have gained a deeper awareness of God's presence, light and love. We are aware that God is right here, and we rest in inner peace. And so, together we say, and so it is.
That was beautiful. I could not wait for this day just because of that reading. Craig, thank you. I was excited to have that shared with you, so much so that I almost didn't want to do the rest of my part. We're done now. You're just awesome, though, so thank you. And Shirley, welcome back into the voice of the divine. She is very dear to me, Shirley is. I always tell her she's like the Divine Mother. And when she speaks, I listen. So hopefully when you came in, you picked up a little bookmark. And it says Best Dad. And the talk today is a reminder of the masculine energy, that Divine Father energy, and I just invite you to take one in honor of your own father and just kind of sit with it. There's an idea later at the end of the talk that I'm going to share with you about using a mantra, and maybe perhaps on your bookmark you can write a mantra that is personal to you to help you grow as we share together in this service. The talk is about what's evolution without love. And so I'm sort of tying a thread from where we ended last week on love and forgiveness, because I recognize what a huge component forgiveness is about love. It's part of love. It's a deep piece of love. So there, Carl Jung has known to have been said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." And so for the organization overall, the idea of this month is we're looking at the soul. We're looking at the soul's call. And they remind us that the soul's call is this deeply intimate, challenging, exponentially powerful, and globally beneficial work we are invited to do daily. Globally beneficial because when any one of us awakens, any one of us, it affects and evolves the global consciousness. So if you ever feel a little bit lazy, stop it. Because you're part of the global consciousness. So yes, the soul's call is meant for you. And so the idea that Ernest Holmes describes love itself, and many of you are familiar with this, love is the self-givingness of universal spirit through its desire to express itself in terms of creation. Love is the impulse. Law is the way. So I want to tie together an idea of the Father, your Father, my Father, the one Father, all fathers, as we move through the message today. Bruce Springsteen says, "In the early years, I found a voice. That was my voice, but it was also my Father's voice." How many of you have done that? You hear and feel your Father living and breathing through you. You hear the sound. And he goes on to say, it's only right. When I was 5 years old, I'd go to the closet and put his shoes on. It's only right. 5 years old, that innocence, that love, that wanting to stand in your Father's shoes. So what part, here's the question I'd like you to entertain as we spend time together this morning. What part of your Father's love lives in you? Now maybe that question right off causes you to pause. Take a breath there. Because they're either a moment here where your heart is opening or clamping shut. But spend a moment. Go deeper. The soul's call is inviting you to open to compassion. First for yourself first, as you reach out for your Father's hand and sit together to either heal or to hold each other now. This is a very personal message to me. As we pull the threads, again, from the idea of last week and how now we're looking to evolve our soul to a greater opening, to a greater love. So here we go, as we feel the sense of, I am evolving my soul to its truest nature as I reach in to my history, to my upbringing, and allow forgiveness to be the greater part of love today. And this is all about each one of your own dear hearts and opening to this love. Because this idea of fatherhood is very, very personal. Your story is personal. My story is personal. There was a blurb that I read in Daily Om, some of those email messages that come through to inspire you on a daily basis. And they shared this about the Father. We all hold an ideal concept of Father. We all hold an ideal concept of Father, and that really struck me. Because I know the moment my image of my Father started to break down this is back from the Donna Reed era. And Paul Peterson, I was totally in love with Paul Peterson. He was on the Donna Reed show, and I had his posters all in my bedroom because and then he wrote a song, My Dad. Do you guys remember that? My dad, now there is a man. And I thought, Well, I got it on the 45. You get it on your little record player and you play it over and over and over and over and over. And I thought, I can't wait for my dad to get home. I'm going to play this song for my dad. And so he comes in, and I think I get it all set, and I put it on. My dad, now there is a man. Turn that, rack it off. Rack it? Paul Peterson, my idol. And I remember just feeling so fractured. But Dad, I don't want to hear it. But Dad, I don't want to hear it. He never heard it. He never listened. And I realized that that whole song is about an ideal dad. So we hold this ideal concept. Then there is the real father that influenced you in this lifetime, a father who provided, a father who loved, a father who neglected perhaps or abused, a father who was the role model, or he became your shame. A father who made us rebel and carry hurt, or a father who was there, or a father who was not. And it stirred in me the idea that they shared that the process of reconciling the ideal father that resides in our mind with the father that we actually have is fertile ground. And it can teach us a great deal about who we are today. So, have you shaped your relationship with other men who came into your life based on the relationship you had with your father? Can you see the seeds of behavior and thoughts that rise in you because that's the way your father was? His actions, his thoughts, his talents were all passed on to you. And now you may have not recognized that you have inherited these tendencies of your father. My master yoga teacher, Rama Jyoti, she says, whether our father is present now or in spirit, this can be a time to express your love and your appreciation in the spoken or written word, or in your silence. Now, we can imagine this ideal father as someone as a guide who's teaching and assisting us, encouraging, supporting. That is the divine father ideal. Being the father itself is a sacred call, and fathers have that responsibility to provide a very strong foundation upon which their children flourish and grow. Even though this may be ideal, not all fathers are able to live up to that ideal. But today we honor what is. We honor the highest and the best of the universal masculine, that energy in all fathers and all father figures everywhere. It can also honor strength, the strength and leadership and the guidance of the wisdom of those who have taught us, mentored us, supported us. That masculine energy through a lifetime as we've explored who we are, who have we turned to as our teacher, as our mentor. So I go back to that question to invite your father here. So I hold my father's hand. I reach out. My father's passed away. When I reach out, a sadness sets in, because I was so ashamed of his drinking addiction. I was so incredibly embarrassed of his clumsy ways when he was drunk. But now, as I hold my father's hand, and I look him in the eye, and I ask myself to open my heart to him, I see myself. I see the strength of character he instilled in me to never give up, to not whine about the small stuff in life. Now my daughter Lindy can testify to this, because I passed it on to them. If you get a paper cut, or you stub your toe, and you're crying, his usual remark was, shout it out, Lou, I know someone that happened to, and he lived. I have used that with my children because it was one of the best pieces of advice. He lived. So I also see a man who, as a 2-year-old himself, was farmed out to others when his own father passed and his mother could not manage all the 6 children. So he was separated for a very long time from the family unit, and he wasn't reunited for quite some time. I see a man who served our country in the Navy. I see a man who fell in love with my mother on a blind date in Japan. I see a man who fathered 4 daughters and worked tirelessly to provide the best he could for each one of us. I see a man who could fix any car. I see a man who loved every cat and every dog. I see a man who showed up at any hour to pick me up, late at night, even though he had already worked his 8-hour day, and it took him 2 hours to drive to work and 2 hours to drive back. But he would pick me up after the football game and the dance at midnight. Not without an accident one time, but I live. So all of these things I look at. This man that loved to make barbecued beef and was so annoyed with me when I became a vegetarian. And had I known the 4 agreements at the time, I would have told him not to take it personal. But I see a man who could not express any affection or feelings, but he was there, and he tried. I see a man who rattled his keys in his pocket and faced the shame of admitting that he had a drinking problem in a very, very tender and heartbreaking family intervention. I see my father getting sober and doing the work, but I also see my father years later secretly sipping to comfort some hole deep inside of him. I see him elderly, curled up on his side in his large king-size bed with his favorite red wool blanket covering him to take a nap. I see myself today laying in the exact same way on my king-size bed, taking my naps. I'm exactly the same. His reflection looks back at me in the truck mirror as Charlie drives around, and I look out that rearview mirror. I see my dad's face. I try to do some things to get out of it, but I look back and he's still looking back at me. My dad lives in me. So today I can say I do admire what he accomplished through all the brokenness he experienced. He was never able to really show any affection unless I held a cat or brought a dog home, or if it was a stranger in a donut store. There he opened up where it was safe. So I'm sure you all have your stories, and some maybe with a little bit of a lighter note. There's a hospice counselor named Kate, and she said, strive to make your love greater than your need. Strive to make your love greater than your need, and let love be the most powerful force. Then nothing can overcome you. Yogananda says, have only love in your heart for others. The more good you see in them, the more you will establish good in yourself. And so it's in those touchy places that we go back and revisit love itself. And so I'm going to shift a little bit here and talk about one of the books that Greg Braden has just come out with, the Wisdom Codes. And I just had ordered mine and received it, and it's a beautiful book, but so he takes down sacred scripture of all time. And I'm going to share the one that has to do with our message today. But he reminds us in his writing, because he's talking about love, and he reminds us that emotional pain and trauma result from our loss or disappointment. This is a universal feeling, but the way we address that pain is not universal, it's individual. So if we allow that hurt, that pain to linger longer and remain unresolved, and we stay sheltered someplace deep inside of us, it will destroy us. He says, on the other hand, if we can find the strength of love in the presence of our deepest hurt, we can give new meaning to life through the most painful experiences. In doing so, we become better versions of ourselves. We become, as the reading shared, we are more healed, more present in our families, stronger members of our community. It's all about a choice that we can make right now to make love be the presence of our hurt. Rumi says, hear this, I'm going to take it down very slowly. Your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. That's so profound from Rumi. So if you want to be free of hate, disappointment, to get beyond your suffering from the childhood, remember this. love was already fully present. It is a power and a source that is born in you. It is you. It is the very strength of your soul. If you are to evolve through love, we must recognize what is not love. What is not love inside of us now? The relationships, the emotional blocks, the frozen fear of abuse. We know, each one of you know what lies inside of you. And when we truly let those barriers dissolve, we heal. Love heals. Where does it begin? Loving yourself. The Gospel of Thomas is what Greg Braden points to in telling us that he reveals a saying of Jesus, "Blessed is the man who has suffered and found life." Can you hear the answer in there? Blessed is the one who has suffered and found life. That which you have will save you if you bring it forth from yourself, the source of love. To feel our love, we must be vulnerable to our pain. Greg says again, it's through the depth of our hurt that we discover how deeply we can feel. And as we allow ourselves to feel, rather than try to mask, deny our feelings, we discover what is there? The capacity to love. So, to take it just a little bit further, simply put, hurt is the price that we sometimes pay to discover that we already have the love we need to heal ourselves. Sometimes merely knowing of the relationship between wisdom, hurt, and love, just knowing that is enough to catapult us from the pain at one end of our emotional spectrum to the healing that is waiting us at the other end of the spectrum. And this is true for every individual and family. It is true for society and entire nations. The reason is because what has happened in the past is part of our history today. Of course it is. And unless we discover a way to go backward in time to right the wrongs and undo the horror of the past, our personal and collective history will remain an unalterable part of our memory. Be clear, the purpose of all of this act of forgiveness is intended for your personal healing today. And this was from Andrea Brunt. She says, forgiveness does not excuse what another person has done. Now here's, I with some wonderful people doing the Science of Mind text, and I openly share sometimes, I read the text and I feel, hey, I'm cool, I'm grounded, I'm strong. And then I get out on the road and I pass somebody that bothers me, and what they stand for, what they represent. I get just disillusioned, and I feel my heart shrink. I feel that space. And I can hear my friend John say, love anyway. Love anyway. Even in those hard, touchy places, love anyway. So what I appreciate about Andrea's sharing here, she says, not excusing what the another person has done. It doesn't mean you need to tell another person that he or she is forgiven. It doesn't mean that you should forget what happened or should not continue. I love this part. I don't know why, because it gave me free range. And you should not continue to have strong feelings about a violation of trust or a physical or emotional boundary. And perhaps most importantly, forgiveness isn't for the person that you're forgiving, it's just for you. Forgiveness is an act of love that you perform for yourself. She describes it beautifully, saying, forgiving, you are accepting the reality of what happened and finding a way to live in a state of resolution with it. Okay, I can do that, you can do that, we can do that, right? Let's just come through it in a more personal way instead of waiting for the other part of the equation to shift or alter or be different. It won't be. It won't be. They are what they are. It is what it is. And it's ours to pick up the pieces and evolve. Love helps us evolve. The Lakota Code of Ethics has a phrase, be tolerant of those who are lost on their path. Ignorance, conceit, anger, and jealousy and greed stem from a lost soul. Pray that they will find guidance. Isn't that lovely? the next time you feel, and it's a felt sense when the heart space closes in on itself. Pray for yourself first. May I be open. May all beings be peaceful and well. And the Lakota teaching, may they find guidance without judgment, without saying how that will be, but you let it go. The evolution here that we're talking about from Ernest Holmes, he says, love is the central flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself, the essence of love. While elusive pervades everything, fires the heart, stimulates emotions, renews your soul, proclaims the spirit only. Love knows love, and love knows only love. Ernest Holmes so powerfully shares that thought. So then when I bring it from a personal to a more global point of view, because this isn't just about little old me, it's about how I can be a better citizen of this world that we're in today. And Valerie Carr is a spiritual social activist, and she said, see no stranger. She says it begins in wonder. It is to look upon the face of anyone and choose to say, you are a part of me. I do not know. I do not yet know. Wonder is the wellspring for love. Who we wonder about determines whose story we're going to hear, whose joy, whose pain we share. Those we grieve with, those we sit with and weep with, are ultimately those we organize with, those we advocate for. When a critical mass of people come together to wonder about one another, grieve with one another, and fight with and for one another, we begin to build that solidarity needed for collective liberation and transformation, a solidarity rooted in love. How awesome is that? Why wouldn't we want to be a part of that? But it means cleaning up our own temple, cleaning up our own heart space. So I'm going to share a story that kind of puts this together, see if you can hear it. There is a person who was caught in a terrible storm, very frightening storm. And then there was a dangerous shipwreck. And as this ship is smashed apart, she clings desperately to a piece of wood, which saves her by keeping her afloat. For many years, she continues to cling to the driftwood, weathering many rough patches on her journey, and she went through some treacherous and stormy seas, until one day she finds herself slowly, imperceptibly, in a placid harbor. The raging sea had subsided, without her registering that this is what has happened. Now, in a safe harbor, she looked around and realized that not only does she no longer need to cling desperately to the log, but that clinging to that log is now getting in the way of her swimming freely and safely in the calm waters in which she finds herself. You see, we're in the calm waters. We are a spiritual community that has found these calm waters together. We can let go of the logs, of the shipwrecks of our lives, and set ourselves free and set others free. We can feel that by clinging to the log with our old strategy is just keeping us in unsettled waters. So I invite you to feel a sense of evolving today into a new understanding. And I'm going to have Judy play as we take the practice of the wisdom code into your heart. And let me share that when we're doing the practice of heart breathing, we drop from the duality of the mind that is going to continue to argue back and forth to the heart that only knows one truth, and that is love. So we close our eyes and we begin that breath that breathes in and out and through the heart. Breathing in and out through the heart. If it helps you to see a color in the heart space of your being, you allow that to flood you. That essence, that color is an idea of the feeling of love in you. Breathing in, breathing out. You are that love. You are that. And we are blessing this space and choosing now to be more willing to love, knowing it is our cornerstone. And we find where it has been hidden, and knowing that we are the ones that have hidden it. From our childhood through all of our experiences, we have felt, we have perceived that it might not be safe to reveal this love to the world, but in light of that, we see now that we're going to remove the barriers and find our way. And through this wisdom code, we take the teachings. The full impact of this teaching is, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will serve you, will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. No. We want to live. We want to live the fullness of our soul today. So in our space of breathing in, breathing out, finding harmony, we remember our oneness to the ideal Father, to the one, to that one energy that is forever giving of itself, and we partake of that now. And here is your mantra. Feel it in your heart. If I bring forth what is within me, what I bring forth will save me. Breathing in. If I bring forth what is within me, breathing out, what I bring forth will save me. If I bring forth what is within me, what I bring forth will save me. Will save me. If I bring forth what is within me, what I bring forth will save me, will save me, will save me, will save me. I'm not afraid. I am open. I am open. My heart is breathing. There is no room for anything less than this. For as my soul evolves, I feel the evolution of love profoundly influencing me now to a greater ideal of me. A greater ideal of me. And I stand for love. I stand in this power. And I give gratitude and thanks for the wisdom teachings, for the wisdom codes that are constantly stirring inside each and every one of us to wake up, to become, to be all that we can be. So thank you, God. I offer you now as I bow in the humility of truth, that I know if I bring forth what is within me, what I bring forth will save me, will save one another. I release this word into that law of love and let it become. And so it is. Thank you, Judy. Perfect. So now settle in with a beautiful song from Dalton to kind of infuse your heart with this truth.
Oh, my life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, it sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the darkness round me falls? I know the truth it liveth. And what though the tempest round me roars? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? And when tyrants tremble sick with fear, and hear their death knells ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them go winging, when friends by shame are undefiled. How can I keep from singing? Oh, my life flows on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn, that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, those freedom bells come ringing, since love is Lord of heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing?
Thank you, Dalton, and thank you, Sue. It's wonderful. I feel full and empowered. So it's the time we do our offertory, and we're going to continue to not pass the baskets, maybe for another week. We're figuring it out. But you can deposit your gifts if you so choose on the way out. We have 2 exits. And also for those online, you can go to our website. There's opportunities to give that way, as well as just regular mail or bring something by. But we do really appreciate everyone's support. There's many churches that really had a challenge through the pandemic, but we stayed afloat, we stayed strong, and we're here, and we're going to continue to grow and prosper in so many different ways. So thank you so much. And so we're going to do a closing affirmation, but we're also going to have another song by Dalton at the very end. So after we do our group affirmation, we'll go into that. And just a reminder of the barbecue and the drumming tonight. The drum circle should be really exhilarating, and you don't have to drum, you can just watch. But we have some really powerful drummers coming and to kind of teach us and guide us into our wonderful time after the barbecue. So if you can, where is it? Where'd it go?
I want to say one more thing.
Anyway.
No, I was sitting there reflecting on men and how we end up in our lifetime finding somebody that resembles the Father. And I realized that in my lifetime, the father of my children, Larry Miller, who no longer is with us, was an awesome man. And so I know that the qualities of my own father I did find in Larry, but then the ultimate gift was this man, to be the father of us all, this big family that lost their dad way too soon. So even though he can't find his place without me.
Here it is.
Here it is.
I got it. Haven't done this for a few weeks, so. So we're going to do this twice. Once is a warm-up, so if you can repeat after me. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. That was pretty darn good. So now we're really going to do it. Okay. There's only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. Great. So we're going to have a song by Dalton, and then you can make your way out. And don't forget, if you didn't buy a ticket, you can show up for tonight for the barbecue. Really pushing that. Okay, have a great day.
I build my life on the rock of spirit. I build my life on the rock of prayer. I build my life on the rock of ages, and I know that God is always there. I build my life with a sense of purpose. There will be no shifting sands. I build my life on the rock of spirit, so I'm held by His loving hands. I build my life on the rock of spirit. I build my life on the rock of prayer. I build my life on the rock of ages, and I know that God is always there. I build my life with a sense of purpose. There will be no shifting sands. I build my life on the rock of spirit, so I'm held by His loving hands. I build my life on the rock of spirit. I build my life on the rock of prayer. I build my life on the rock of ages, and I know that God is always there. I build my life with a sense of purpose. There will be no shifting sands. I build my life on the rock of spirit, so I'm held by His loving hands. I build my life on